I welcome you all to my second lecture on digital signal processing, that is UEC 502 for electronics and communication engineering students and electronics and computer engineering students. We will first discuss analog to digital conversion process as indicated by block diagram. Here input to sampler is analog signal, which is a continuous time signal, that is XAT, and the output of sampler is a discrete time signal, that is equal to XN. And this Xn is further fed to quantizer, and the output of quantizer is indicated by XQN. This XQN is given as input to the coder, and the output of coder is B-bit binary sequence. This is the process. Here EQN is equal to Xn minus XQN is quantization error. This quantization process and the characteristics of quantization error you have studied in your course on digital communication in detail. Therefore, we shall focus on the frequency domain analysis of sampling process. For understanding the sampling process, we first look at this part. The analog signal XAT is multiplied by PT. PT represents a direct comp consisting of an infinite sequence of uniformly spaced delta function. Look at this. This is PT. These two delta functions are separated by capital T. T is sampling interval. The output of this multiplier is XPT. If this is XAT, this is multiplied by PT, the output will be XPT. These impulses, each impulse is having a weight. These are converted to discrete time signal XN, which will be indicated like this. Now omega s is equal to 2 pi fs is equal to 2 pi by t. This we have studied in our last lecture. Fs is the sampling rate. Now the major operation is xpt is equal to xat into pt. This is multiplication operation. We can handle this in two ways. First, look at this on right hand side. Pt is a periodic signal. So I can write it in the form of Fourier series representation. This you have studied in your course on signal and systems, that Pt is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity, ak e raised to power j2 pi t kt, where ak is 1 by t. This is a well-known fact that if two signals are multiplied in time domain, in frequency domain they are going to be convolved, and this is linear convolution operator. Now P, the continuous time Fourier transform CTFT, continuous time Fourier transform of PT will be, when I will apply CTFT here, I will get 2 pi by t delta j omega minus j2 pi by t k. Substituting p j omega here, I will get xp j omega is equal to summation k minus infinity to infinity 1 by t x a j omega minus j2 pi by t into k. So this is equation A. Now second way to handle this is PT is considered as impulse train. We all know that impulse is defined at t is equal to nt. So in the impulse train, every impulse will get a weight x a nt after multiplication. Now taking its continuous time Fourier transform, we can get xp j omega. So xp j omega is equal to n running from minus infinity to infinity x a n t e raised to the power minus j omega n t. This is marked as equation B. Now coming back to equation 1, if you look at this, this shows the repetition in spectrum. It is plotted here. Let xj omega is having spectrum like this, and the range of frequency is minus omega m to omega m, angular frequency, continuous spectrum of x age omega. And when I am plotting the formula A, xpj omega according to formula A, this is 1 by t times the spectrum of baseband signal. So if you look at xp j omega, that is spectrum after impulse train sampling, considering no aliasing, that is if omega s is greater than or equal to 2 omega, we will view that there are scaled replicas also. There are scaled replicas in frequency domain. So generation of scaled replicas is there. Now we will proceed further. The DTFT, discrete time Fourier transform of xn, will be indicated as xe j omega, where small omega indicates the discrete time angular frequency. By the formula, we will get xn e raised to minus j omega n. As xn is equal to xa and t, and omega t, that is continuous time angular frequency multiplied by sampling interval, is equal to discrete time angular frequency. Therefore, from C and B, this is expression C, and this is expression B. From C and B, substituting the value of omega t is equal to omega, we can easily relate that xc j omega is equal to xp j omega by t. Consequently, the equation A can be used to express xc j omega as this is a valid relation. So I can express this equation A, or rewrite this equation A as x e raised to j omega equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity 1 by t x a j omega minus 2 pi k by t. And if I will plot it, it will look like this. But here it is discrete time angular frequency, and the range changes from, this is, there are replicas in the spectrum of xc j omega. Each replica is scaled by a factor 1 by t. You look at this, it is omega m by t. Here it was omega m. Here it is omega s into t, which is equal to 2 pi. Here minus omega s t equal to minus 2 pi. But repetition of spectrum is there. Spectrum of discrete time sequence xn. This is discrete time, spectrum of discrete time sequence xn. There is repetition in spectrum, repetition of pattern in spectrum. Now this is frequency domain analysis. Now we come to the signal reconstruction process. Now xn is the discrete time signal, and there is a filter, low pass filter HLE omega, which is indicated as this. And there is a block showing that conversion of sequence to weighted impulse train back to XPT. This XPT, as discussed above, is fed to reconstruction filter HRJ omega, which is having impulse response and frequency domain as shown in figure, having range minus omega m to omega m and amplitude t. And now we will revisit equation A. If I write equation A like this, here I can see that it is the main signal and these are the replicas. This is the replica, these are the replicas. Now, if we consider Fs is equal to 2fm, that is Fs sampling rate is equal to 2fm, or omega s is equal to 2 omega m, then omega m is equal to omega s by 2 in HR j omega. Here omega m is omega s by 2. If we consider, it follows that now in frequency domain x cap j omega, x cap a j omega will be equal to xp j omega into hr j omega. Now substituting here, hr amplitude of hr j omega is t, which is equal to 2 pi by omega s, which is going to multiply by xp j omega. Mark it as equation E. Now I will substitute the value of xp j omega from equation B. I will show you. This is equation B, xp j omega. So substituting the value here, x a cap j omega is equal to 2 pi by omega s summation n running from minus infinity to infinity, x a n t e raised to the minus j omega n t. This is the formula. In the reconstructed signal, this is the spectrum of reconstructed signal, that is showing the continuous time Fourier transform of reconstructed signal. Now for time, converting it to time domain, we will take inverse Fourier transform, that is inverse continuous time Fourier transform, applying the inverse CTFT and following these steps one by one. I will reach at this conclusion that x a dash t is equal to n running from minus infinity to infinity, x a n t sine 2 fm t minus n, where t is from minus infinity to infinity. This is sinc x a dash t, n running from minus infinity to infinity, x a n t sinc 2 fm t minus n. Sinc is defined as sine pi t over pi t. So the final formula for x a dash t is n running from minus infinity to infinity, x a n by 2 fm sinc 2 fm t minus n. Therefore, x a dash t can be recovered or approximated from its sample values using the interpolation function sinc 2 fm t. So we can recover the signal provided that fs is equal to 2 fm. Fs is equal to 2 fm. Here, xpt is passed through a reconstruction filter with this impulse response and frequency domain, and we can generate a reconstructed signal x a dash t, and the whole mathematics is given here. It involves the function sinc, which is interpolation function acting as an interpolation function in continuous domain. So a band limited signal of finite energy that has no frequency components higher than fm is equal to omega by 2 pi hertz is completely described by specifying the values of signal instants of time separated by t is equal to 1 by 2 fm seconds. And a band limited signal of finite energy that has no frequency components higher than fm is equal to omega m by 2 pi hertz is completely recovered from a knowledge of its samples taken at the rate of 2 fm samples per second. Therefore, fs is equal to fn is equal to 2 fm is called Nyquist rate, and t is equal to 1 by 2 fm is equal to 1 by fn is called Nyquist interval Tn. In practical application, a simple remedy that avoids aliasing and any other potentially troublesome situation is to sample the analog signal at a rate much higher than the Nyquist rate. So here I finish the frequency domain analysis and reconstruction process. Now, next article is Introduction to Laplace Transform. The Laplace transform of a general signal xt is defined as xs Here integration running from minus infinity to infinity xt e raised to minus st dt. Here s is a complex variable and the Laplace transform is indicated by the symbol L like this. When Laplace transform is measured at s is equal to j omega, this is actually CTFT of xt, that is continuous time Fourier transform of xt. Now substituting the value of s in xs, we will get and we will see that it is continuous time Fourier transform of xt e raised to minus sigma t. The range of values of s for which the integral in equation A converges is referred to as region of convergence of Laplace transform. The ROC consists of those values of s for which continuous time Fourier transform of xt e raised to minus sigma t converges. Now, when you will solve some questions on Laplace transform and Fourier transform, you will find in some cases the Laplace transform exists, but CTFT doesn't. Now we will, as we are going to have an overview of Laplace, we will solve these two examples. Let signal xt is equal to e raised to minus t ut for a greater than 0. So if I will get its Laplace transform xs, it is coming out to be 1 by s plus a. But the region of convergence is R E s plus a greater than 0. R E s, that is real part of s, should be greater than minus a. Looking at the denominator, we will find that there is a pole at s is equal to minus a. So region of convergence is shaded portion this way. Similarly, if I consider a signal xt is equal to minus e raised to minus a t u minus t for a greater than 0, the axis is minus infinity to infinity like this. If I will follow step by step, I will reach at this conclusion that the answer is 1 by s plus a. Now in both cases, answer is same, but the region of convergence is different. Here real s plus a should be less than 0, so real part of s should be less than minus a. Looking at the denominator, I will find that there is a pole at s is equal to minus a. In the complex s plane, the ROC is this shaded portion, this side of the straight line. This is a straight line. This side, ROC is here. So these two examples indicate that this is a causal, this is a anti-causal signal. The end expression may come same, but the end solution depends on the region of convergence. Now, if Laplace transform xs of xt is rational, then if xt is right-sided, the ROC is the region in the S-plane to the right of the rightmost pole. If xt is left-sided, ROC is the region in the S-plane to the left of leftmost pole. Look at this. Right to the rightmost pole. Left to the leftmost pole. For a system with a rational system function, causality of system is equivalent to the ROC being the right half plane to the rightmost pole. So causal system will have ROC on this side. An LTI system is stable if and only if the ROC of its system function Hs includes the j omega s axis, that is real s is equal to 0. Means the imaginary, the Laplace transform should include the imaginary axis. The stability of an LTI system is equivalent to its impulse response being absolutely integrable. In that case, the continuous time Fourier transform of the impulse response converges. So it is very clear that the Fourier's transform continuous time CTFT should exist and therefore in the region of convergence this j omega axis should lie if we want the system to be stable. Now coming next to the LTI system characterized by linear constant coefficient differential equation in continuous domain. This is linear constant coefficient differential equation. Xt is input signal, yt is output of LTI system. Applying Laplace on both sides and using the linearity and differentiation properties repeatedly, we obtain this. You have done earlier in your mathematics course as well as in signal system. So I'm not going into so much depth. So the answer is ys by xs is equal to summation k running from 0 to m bk s raised to power k over k running from 0 to n a k s raised to power k is equal to hs. This is impulse response of system in S domain. The system function for an LTI system specified by a differential equation is always rational with zeros at solutions of this. This portion will give you zeros and poles at solutions of this. That is, denominator will give you poles, numerator will give you zeros. The linear constant coefficient differential equation by itself does not constrain the ROC. However, with additional information about stability or causality of the system, the region of convergence can be inferred. This equation is not giving you any idea about the causality or stability. However, the additional information you will require to mention the region of convergence. A generalization of continuous time Fourier transform is known as Laplace transform. If you look at the different formulas and the analysis, you will feel that Laplace transform is, you will observe that the Laplace transform is a general transform. A generalization of CTFT is known as the Laplace transform. Now, inverse should also be there. So for inverse Laplace transform equation, HT can be calculated by using this formula 1 by 2 pi j sigma minus j infinity 2 sigma plus j infinity hs e raised to power st ds. Assuming calculation of this formula is difficult, so we will go for an alternate technique, assuming no multiple order poles and assuming that the order of denominator polynomial is greater than the order of numerator polynomial. We first perform partial fraction expansion to obtain hs like this. We express hs like this. From ROC of hs, which is usually given in question, the ROC of each of the individual terms in the above equation can be inferred, and then the inverse Laplace transform of each of these terms can be determined. It is how we take Laplace transform and calculate its inverse. Laplace transform is very useful. We will use Laplace transform in next lectures. So in the next lecture, that is third one, we will discuss briefly about DTFT, CTFT, DFT. Thanks for attending the lecture. That's all for this lecture. And for this course on digital signal processing, you need to follow these reference books. And for self-study, you can purchase 1 or 2 books of your own choice from this list. Thank you.